Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, students, teachers, experts, colleagues, friends. I'm delighted to have been invited to talk about Jacob Schapfer and to share with you our values and some of our dreams, textile dreams, that is. The picture you can see here shows practically the view from our studio. Sort of, it's around the corner, you know. It is in Switzerland, St. Gallen, and but this rather idyllic and beautiful landscape doesn't only serve for inspirational purposes. It is also steeped in textile history, because the eastern part of Switzerland has a very long, especially embroidery history. And it's also the place where Jacob Schapfer was founded, and where, to this very day, all of its creations are being produced. So we very much rely on the knowledge, on the dedication, and on the skills that history has taught this region. Jacob Schapfer, I don't know, it's probably not for everyone.
Does anybody know Jacob Schapfer?
Ever heard? Yeah. That's good. Yeah. It's a small company in Switzerland, and the creative department is even smaller. And I don't mean the size of the atelier, that is actually quite large. I mean the number of people working there. We're about 9 to 10 people. The small size of the whole company and the very short ways to get into production, is actually 2 stairs down, make communication ways very short. And it also makes sampling vital. You know, you go down 2 stairs and then you work on it and you get a phone call and you improve things. It's sort of, it's very compact, and we can react very quickly to whatever ideas we have. A bit more about the company. We mainly produce fabrics for the fashion market. We also have an interior line and we have 2 shops, but our main focus is fashion. This means we have a very global clientele. We produce, you know, as well for South American labels, for European, for Asian labels, and this enables us to be very free and very open when we design. There are 6 collections that leave the house every year: 2 couture, 2 day wear, and 2 ready to wear. These collections hold about 250 to 350 designs each. So quite a lot of work that goes in there. And but at the very core, at the very heart of the company lies innovation. So it fits that I was invited to come here. Innovation is the driving force behind each and every creation that leaves the house. It's the reason that Jacob Schapfer exists, and it's the past, it's the future. It's sort of, it's the life of Jacob Schapfer. And impulses can come from anywhere. They can come from nature, they can come from, you know, seeing an exhibition in a museum, they come from the technical side, they can come from clients or from the creative department. It's very open. And I quite like to picture Jacob Schapfer, the creative department, as a laboratory where lots of cauldrons are bubbling away, and we always have to make sure, you know, that something might need stirring and others might need more ingredients, and there's always something simmering in the corner that just needs a bit of time developing. So yeah, and our art director, Martin Leuthold, leads the small team in a very intuitive and very collective way. It's more about being open and allowing accidents to happen than to actually plan out, you know, what you want to reinvent. And very important, as I said before, is the realization of ideas. You can have loads of ideas, but if you don't realize them, they just hang in the air. And so we're constantly sampling, we're continuously going downstairs into production, trying out stuff, making it producible. And this chaotic, unorchestrated, seemingly incoherent mass of textile ideas is the very soil where our collections grow from. Jacob Schapfer is what we call an industrial manual manufacturer. The juxtaposition of highly advanced technology and manual labor create Jacob Schapfer's handwriting. And a very important part of this handwriting are sequins. That's sort of where it all started with. It was in the 60s when Jacob Schapfer bought the rights, the world rights, for the very first industrial sequin embroidery machine. And that's sort of what put the name Jacob Schapfer out there in the world. And I would like to show you a fabric that has developed from there. It was an idea that Martin, the art director, had, and one night I think he just had the idea and then he realized it, and I don't want to withhold it from you. It's a fabric that was nominated for the Swiss Design Award in 2009, if I'm correct. And well, it has evolved from then, but it's still somewhat magical. So you can see these. You do that. I know, it will continue, it will get better. Yeah, so, and that's sort of our duty as well. We have to surprise and seduce and inspire ourselves and our clients. It's sort of spearheading the textile world or pushing boundaries, pushing textile boundaries. I just continue.
You may touch later on.
Yeah, you can touch it later. This is the same one, but embroidered onto wool, and then
You don't see anything.
I'm too small. This is European collaboration. So this here we go. This is the same, but embroidered onto wool and then washed. So we achieved 1 million sequins per machine, so per 10 yards. Yeah. So it looks a bit like fur or velvet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can people, do you mind if we, or are you
I just think it distracts you. I'm sorry.
No, he has a story to tell.
No. And this again is the same but with different colors.
I feel like a magician here.
Yeah, so there we go. It's the same but with different sequins.
Can you walk to
Continue with sequins. Here it's sequins that are overprinted and it's a coupure, so the fabric is washed away. You're left with sequins and yarn. So it looks nearly like knitwear.
Yeah, but it also looks like fish.
Yeah, fish scales. Yeah. So I just want to show you sort of an evolution that a design can take. It's just every collection we try to give it a new spin. Talking of fish scales, it's like a mermaid. This is one of the newest sequin foils that we have.
What do you mean by sequins?
And you can always it's really moving. Yeah. This is very similar to the other one, but with a different yarn. Sort of making a bit of a changeant effect with the yarn and the sequin. Can you look through it? Yes, you can look through it. Yeah. Just one last one. So this is the, sorry. It's not sequins anymore, but it's the material that the sequins are made from. So it becomes more of a furry thing.
Furry of what kind of material is it?
It's a sequin ball material, but it's not fixed.
Not sequins, like it's rectangular.
Yes, rectangular sequin. Right. Focus here. But innovation doesn't only mean, pursuing an idea and persisting and making it work and being open and, grabbing ideas, making accidents happen, because the one where it's washed was an accident. It just happened to fall into the washing machine and it came out and we went, oh, wow. We have to, make this producible. It's also what's equally important is letting go. Because as soon as a collection is packed into salesmen's suitcases, we have to forget about it. We have to start with a clean, fresh start and, find new ways. Push the textile boundaries, make it happen. And Jacobs Schaffer is not afraid to dive into very untextile areas and find materials that might not have anything to do with us. And one of these is a Japanese water filter that didn't seem, I'll give my best. So it's sort of, it's a bit plain, and then you turn it around. And it's the second lightest fabric that we have, with 10 grams per square meter. So it's a bit like smoke. So these bits are a bit heavy, they're destroyed. And then of course we continue with it. Put tiny little foam dots on it to give it a different spin. And here, this is actually its little sister. What we call it? The name we give to it?
Yeah, what do you call it again? I didn't see. The little sister.
Oh, the little sister. Because this is only 5 grams per square meter. But then we obviously sort of made it very dense, and now it looks like a little fluffy chicken. There are 2 more ways. We've sort of added some paper glued onto it, and here it's embroidered with quite thick cotton. Yes. Exactly. How to order it. So I think finding a new material is definitely always on our agenda. And lately we found chocolate wrappers. And that has nothing to do with eating too much chocolate. That's, it's just finding something and then going for it and trying to make it work. We have a limited number of techniques that we use. We use, as you've seen, embroidery, sequin embroidery. There is a combination of laser and embroidery, of sequins and embroidery. And then we've got only laser. Then we have inkjet print. And we have what we call compositions. That's where we just pile everything on. It's sewing, it's gluing, it's applying, it's putting rhinestones on it, it's putting pearls on it, if you go to the archive, it's putting balloons on it. It's sort of, it's true. It's so funny, we have an archive from from the 50s, 60s up until now. And you go in there and you definitely think, what have you guys been taking? It's mental. It's so inspiring. At the same time you think, I'm hypnotized. It's amazing. It's really, and a lot of designers take the opportunity to come down or up to St. Gallen and to be inspired to have a look. Obviously, not all of the machines still work, but we will be able to adjust it, to adopt it. Yes, especially with these composition, the industrial manual production plays a major role, because you might have a laser machine that cuts things and you apply little pieces by hand, and it's sewn by hand. And it was the very first time that I arrived at Schlepp, and actually Stephanie showed me around, don't she still work there? They produced a fabric for Chanel, or someone, and I was staggered by the amount of manual work that still goes into these fabrics, because it's mind-blowing, it's absolutely, and it's wonderful that it's still possible to this very day to do that in Switzerland. What else can I tell you? I might show you some more fabric. Yeah, a lot of. These are all combinations of embroidery and other techniques. So this is embroidery and laser. I'm just going to go through and place it over there. You can have a look. Oh yeah, sure. Embroidery with laser. It looks a bit like an animal skin or something. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah, this is also with laser, and I can see now it shows a lot with wool at the back. I think it was quite cold on that day when I went to the archive. Oh. And then again, here we have butterflies, which is the exact same technique, but cut away and with a print. So it's also the combination of techniques and materials that obviously make it different. I heard they'll stay for a bit, but you know, that's
And they're quite old, these...
No, not very. I mean, I try to concentrate on more current collections than to dive too far back in history. This is paper, embroidered, and I couldn't help but be slightly nostalgic. This was one of my very first designs. So I went, going to take you on a little trip. Very good. Well done. So yeah.
It's also paper, and then...
No, it's not. This is Loganza. Yeah, it looks a bit like a no, it's not.
You know it.
Yes. Where was I? Yeah.
Well, you have maybe 3 minutes or something to explain.
No, it's fine. Yeah, basically Jacob Schläpfer, we collaborate with universities, with companies on a variety of projects. So we might, work on a different machine. We work with students. We have interns every 6 months, and yeah, it's sort of we want to exceed our own expectations. We want to surprise the clients. We want to find new textiles. We want to explore unwalked paths and find unknown places. And well, if you should ever happen to find yourselves in Switzerland, you're more than welcome to visit us. And you can have a look in the wonderland that is Jacob Schläpfer. Some more things, because it's quite funny. These two are the exact same techniques and have been made with the same technique that embroideries have been made in Switzerland for years and years. It's just sort of reinventing it, redesigning it, making it modern.
So you're using all techniques for innovation?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. And this is the same?
It's the same. Yeah, same thing. Thank you.
It's not a, how do you call her again? This little suitcase for no ending. So you're
This is, for example, the chocolate wrappers I've been talking about.
Oh, yeah, the chocolate wrapper.
Yeah.
Like the Swiss chocolate thing.
No, they should sponsor Excuse me. This is an older one that I found, but I found it rather intriguing. The use of ribbon. Then, of course, there's always, You've done this? I'm glad I'm not a salesman, having to they should know why did I put this up? But it's it's really all legal here, so it's not this, for example, is making, you know, the bits where the price tag are attached to? So they just make a fur. Slightly unusual, and maybe not very nice on your
Most of the time you only have one and you'll only observe it.
Yeah, which day it goes. This is an example that might demonstrate quite well the manual part of the dog, because each and every little piece has been laid down by hand, which is a big process.
And guess what's happening on
Yeah, that's one of the things. Our products are half products. They leave the company, and when we sell them to big names, it's theirs. But that's fine for us, because we know. So that's
They have a wonderful website where you can see
here is another version of the chocolate with foam, and that's a bit of real cocktail. Something like that. I just want to take you through some. Hang on, I got it.
I will see
This one.
products.
No?
Yeah.
Yes. Just sort of quickly, just to run through, I selected them rather, you know, without a big, rather. Just to take you through. This one you've actually seen before, with a different paper on it. It's a very light fabric piece of paper. That's an embroidery. Here is the fringes. That's an embroidery and then crocheted together. That's an embroidery and printed. That's the very sorry. Then here we have the sequins and washed. So they're very close, so you've got the million sequins on one machine. This is an embroidery and laser cut, but it's not cut away, it's just cut open. So you get a different surface. This is something you can't see at all. But you have to believe me, it's an embroidery. This is actually the exact one where I said it's a little sister. It's a frilly one, just dyed in a different color. That is a coupure, an embroidery, double layered. And we had to look very closely to actually recognize it. This is sort of a polyester shiny fabric. This is the very light fabric printed. This as well. This is an embroidery with laser. And it's quite funny when you sort of give away your designs and then to see what people make from it. Sometimes you sort of wish they didn't. And sometimes it's very That's just sequins. That's the combination of laser and embroidery. And here as well, it's only cut open. That's the same, it's just flowers on the current collection. That's the one that you can turning sequences.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And by now we've accumulated quite a lot of sequin foil. That's just layers of sequin foil print. That's a print. And print is, we notice print is a very bespoke technique. People like to have their own prints. We do our own prints and sometimes it works, but often they might take it for inspirational reasons or they have their completely, own developed print. That's the turning sequences, but in matte. That's an embroidery. That's actually cut out bits and stuck, glued to the fabric. That is rows and rows of sequin foil. That's sort of an over-sequined tweed, bits of little tweed. That's just cut open, lasered and embroidered. Printed, embroidery, sequins, fringes. That's again the paper on the very fine material. That's an embroidery and some sequined leggings. Just embroidery. That's embroidery. Print and embroidery and glazing. That's a plissé of a lace. Embroidery. And that's embroidery and laser cut. So